could have gone wrong today has absolutely gone wrong. But holy shit, I'm glad we're on to do this. I mean, this at least nothing will go wrong if I'm here talking to everyone. So, good topic today. We had a couple great talks the last few days about manufacturing, can we bring manufacturing back to America, all these kind of things. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of what we talked about yesterday was how do you do that, right? And one of the things we got to do is we got to bring back apprenticeships. I grew up in a union family. A lot of people worked on the pipe fitters union, steam fitters union, carpenters union, and it's been very good to my dad's side of the family back in Oregon. And so I got a little bit of experience with the whole union thing and apprenticeships and exactly how apprenticeships worked. And I think that's what we need back in America. I think we had a lot of people going back to work, especially when they get out of high school, while they're in high school and working with companies. Because I'll tell you guys something. I read a bunch of stats on apprenticeship programs and unions and apprenticeships. We got to separate those things right off the bat. Like, these are two very different things. And I think the apprenticeship has become synonymous with the union and all those kind of things. And I don't want people to think this is a conversation about unions, because it's not. It's a conversation about getting people comfortable with working while they're very young and comfortable with the idea that a certain kind of work can be really good for you, right? A certain kind of work can pay really well and can lead to a very rewarding life. People have been brainwashed for so long that working with your hands is for losers, right? Is for people that are not very smart, or people that couldn't hack it in college, people that maybe have poor parents, maybe you grew up in an area that's kind of underserved. Like, this is where they think these people end up working. We're at the bottom of the barrel. You work with your hands, right? And none of that's true. Like, none of it's true. We made a lot of money in my family working with our hands. My stepdad is a welder for 50 years, made a lot of money as a welder, did really well. My cousin welds for Intel. I've had several people in my family who have become welders, and it's been a fantastic living for them. And working with their hands, while it can be dirty and noisy and things like that, it's a great way to make a living. It feels really good. And we as tradespeople and craftspeople, we got to be ready to train the next group of people, because it's going to be tough. People are going to need a lot of training. People are going to need a lot of help to get into the workforce, because you got a lot of people right now that can't make any money. And a big part of that is because they got all these student loans. The skills that they've acquired at these other companies aren't useful. People are training people to do bullshit jobs that don't pay well, right? When you go to work for somebody, you should learn something that's valuable, not only to that company, but to whatever that industry is that you're in. And I think that people are teaching people things that aren't valuable, So we're going to talk about that kind of stuff today. I've got a lot of great stats here on where apprenticeships where apprenticeships are really thriving in countries like Germany. That's a big deal. Europe does a lot of this. It's really worked well, but specifically for Germany. A guy, Thomas Schultz, was talking about this. I think it's Schultz. In our cast the other day. And so I think that Germany is a good country to look for as to a good way to do a public-private partnership with getting people to learn to work, So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. My name's Eric Wilkin. I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. We are a fine furniture company. We are a boutique furniture manufacturer. We are known for our high-gloss lacquer coating. We do about 500 pieces a year, and it's a fantastic business. People really love our high gloss lacquer coating, the glossy finish that you can see yourself in. We also make really nice bespoke, beautiful stain pieces out of exotic veneers and exotic hardwoods. We just do all kinds of fun stuff here. We make small things like drink trays and drink tables and end tables, and I mean, you name it, we build it. It's been a fantastic business. Me and my wife both work for our company. We don't have to go to work for anybody else, which is nice. Our kids want nothing to do with our company, which is a damn shame. I've talked about that in the past, but it's a good business. It's a good middle-class living. We're a low seven-figure business, and hopefully we'll be able to grow that thing. I think this year is going to be a fantastic year. This year's going to be a good year, but I think 2026 is going to be awesome. I think the housing market is going to start moving, and the furniture business is going to be amazing. So I'm going on record right now as saying that 2025 is going to be pretty decent, but I think 2026 is when the dam breaks and the slowness in the housing sector we've had for so long is going to give way, and people are going to need furniture again, which is going to be awesome. So anyway, yeah, so that's why I'm Eric Wilkin on the Resplendent Crow and all those kind of things. And if you're in the feed right now, hit the like button, add a discussion, let me know where you're at. Let me know if you've ever done an apprenticeship. Let me know if you've ever worked for a union. Let me know who taught you how to do what it is you do, because that's going to be a lot of this discussion. A lot of this discussion is going to be about the teachers, right? And I consider myself to be the teacher when it comes to woodworking, when it comes to working with your hands. My dad was my teacher. My stepdad was my teacher, and they did a great job teaching me how to make furniture, how to work with metal, how to do all kinds of things with my hands, how to work on cars. And we have to get back to where we're teaching kids young that it's okay to work, You know, it's okay to work with your hands. It's okay to breathe some dust, you know, look at a little welding art for a second, you know, hear loud noises. All these things are okay. Sweating all day at work, there's nothing wrong with that. It feels good. It does your body good to sweat out all the toxins and all the nasty shit that's in your body, and it feels good to use your body, you know. So that's one of the things I really, I really enjoy getting to be on my feet a lot. I enjoy picking up lumber, picking up plywood, running parts through a table saw, you know, putting furniture together. It feels really good, and we're gonna have to teach these people how to do this kind of stuff. Otherwise, if this work comes back in, if all the manufacturing that we think is going to come back in from the rest of the world hits here, there's got to be someone to do the work, you know. And if we just let big businesses take all this work, send it to all the factories overseas, right, all that cheap labor, there's going to be no jobs for anybody here, you know. So not only do we have to have the skills, but we got to be, you know, we got to be ready to take these jobs when they show up, because they will show up. There's not a doubt in my mind that we're going to see a lot more manufacturing. We're going to see a lot more small business owners. Because times are changing, guys. I strongly believe that we have a change coming within our economy, and people are starting to understand the disparity between the wealthy class and the lower class, right? Like it used to be, we had the lower class, the middle class, and the upper class, and then the elite, right? Now it's basically the elite and the lower class. There's not much in the middle, and I think people start to realize like that's a major problem, you know. So changes are coming, and apprenticeships, learning to work with their hands is going to be a big thing. Okay, so let's talk about apprenticeships right now. Let's talk about how this thing used to work. So the way apprenticeships really used to work is apprenticeships really like jumped through the roof like during the Industrial Revolution. So around the turn of the century, you know, 1860, 1870, somewhere in there, right up until the Great Depression in the 20s. Basically, that was how you got a job, right? Coming right out of school. I mean, you could even leave school and go right to work, but you would have somebody above you that would teach you, right? A guy might have 2 or 3 people below him teaching them how to do stuff, and that's how they built up all these factories, right? They built up all these processes using these master craftspeople to teach people, and that's how it used to be done. It wasn't. It was not thought of as a crap job. It wasn't thought as you were not thought of as a loser if you went and got a factory job or worked with your hands or whatever, and we need to get back to that, okay? So one of the other things that is kind of interesting about apprenticeships is back in the day, during like the Crusades, and we had all these wars and things going on. One of the things that was a big deal was being a blacksmith, right? If you could work with metal, man, you could write your own ticket, you could do all kinds of stuff. So everybody wanted to study under the blacksmiths, right? It was like kind of a big deal. And a lot of the blacksmiths were actually Jews, you know, which kind of complicated a little bit with who was going to get to do that work. But point is that when times got hard, everybody valued the blacksmith, right? The guy that could forge metal, that could make, you know, armor, the guy that could make, you know, whatever, wagon wheels, he could make all kinds of stuff, strapping, all these kind of things. And it was really valuable, right? We're kind of coming into a little bit of a time like that again. And the more kind of research I did on this particular topic, the more it seems like we're going to have, or potentially could have, a little bit of a mini revolution when it comes to working with your hands, right? So as this work slowly comes back, right, as the current administration makes it just a little bit more difficult for big business to send all these jobs overseas, these people are going to need factories, right? They're going to need factories. They're going to need workers. They're going to need all kinds of stuff, right? These data centers are going up. These data centers got to be built by somebody. You know, the people that own the data center companies don't know how to make nothing, right? They're just nerds, basically, that run companies. They need people to do that work, right? And the people that are going to do that work are who I'm talking about. These are going to be your people that have been in the field for 5 to 10 years. These are going to be the head people on all of these jobs. And then they're going to be training people to do all this work, right? Because it's not like we're just going to pluck a bunch of people out of college and tell them to go weld. We're not going to pluck people out of college and say, oh, college didn't work out, so now you're going to go be a woodworker. Like, it doesn't work like that. You know, we don't want those kind of people. And, you know, I should say we don't want them. But they're not the people that we're looking for, right? We're looking for people that don't mind being dirty. We're looking for people, you know, that are ready to get down and get to work, don't mind sweating, working in the heat, you know. So as these factories come back, as this work comes back, there's going to be a lot of things to make, and there's going to be a lot of jobs to do, you know. And it might not be the traditional jobs like we had during the turn of the century, the Industrial Revolution, but we're going to see a lot of really cool jobs here for people that are willing to, you know, whatever, build houses, you know, are willing to, you know, frame up big buildings, build skyscrapers, make warehouses, you know, people that are willing to make furniture. Furniture's going to be a big thing, you know, and a lot of people think that most furniture, I think, is actually made overseas. The truth is that most of the furniture is not made overseas. A lot of it is, don't get me wrong, but the bulk of the really nice furniture and the mid to higher end furniture, it's all made right here. A lot of your hotels, they get their furniture right here. I mean, I've bid on many hotels. I've done all kinds of work for people. I've had people, ask me to build 20 of my faux bamboo dressers for their hotel. I've done some work for some hotels in Louisiana, some really kind of upscale boutique hotels, so these people are going to be looking for people to make things, all kinds of stuff, making carpet, running electrical. There's going to be a big demand. So we're going to need a lot of teachers, right? And apprenticeship programs, I think, or some kind of an apprenticeship partnership like they have in Germany is going to be super important, So I don't know if the states or the federal government will get involved in this kind of a situation, but as this work comes back, I mean, it's going to be a big deal, guys. And I said I'm a big proponent of people working with their hands. I'm a big proponent of people that have been doing this work for a long time, teaching other people how to do it, right? It's really tough to learn this work if you've never been exposed to it, right? It's really easy to go to college. You're around all kinds of people. You can learn anything at college because there's tons of people that are learning the same thing, and you actually are going there basically to be a nobody, right? It's very difficult to say to somebody, hey, you know what? You're going to come out here on the job site, and you're basically just going to shovel shit all day. You're going to go run back and forth and get parts. You're going to be the bitch that goes and gets coffee and lunch for everyone. You're going to be the guy that's cleaning auger bits. You're going to be the guy that's picking up trash on the job site, and you're going to do that for 3 to 6 months. It's very difficult to get people excited about, the prospect of doing that right out of high school. It's so much better if you say, hey, you know what, you're going to go to college where they got a wave pool and a bunch of hot chicks running around in bikinis, playing volleyball, So it's going to be very difficult to get people to do it, but we got to make this work cool again. We got to convince, especially men, we got to convince men that working with your hands, getting down and dirty every day, coming home dirty, women like that stuff. Like, it's not like a woman wants her man to come home clean all the time, never have any problems. Like, women like this kind of stuff, So men need to get down and dirty and do this work because it's good. It's good for you on a personal level. It's good for your community. And again, chicks dig it. I don't know. Again, people might not agree with me on this. This might be something that I'm kind of the only one who's really interested in this issue, but we've got to get people to learn this stuff. We've got to teach people how to make things. We've got to teach people that it's okay to get dirty. We've got to teach people it's okay not to be smart, right? You could be the dumb person in a group of people that's being taught by the smart people. And I think that's kind of cool myself. I mean, so some stories about the whole apprenticeship thing. So when I was coming up in woodworking, my stepdad was he was a woodworker. He was a pretty good woodworker for the most part. He had a business, but the thing that really got me to get really good at woodworking was I had an apprentice, or I had basically a master who was in the aerospace industry. And I want to say he was like damn near 70 years old. I mean, this was an old man named Bob Baird. And man, I love this guy to death, but he hated everybody. But he had so much knowledge that my company that I was working for at the time, had him working there. He was a pain in the ass, but again, all this knowledge, this guy could make anything when it came to jets, right? He was a master, right? And nobody wanted to work with him. He was such a dickhead, and he didn't want to work with anybody because he thought everyone was dumb. But somehow I endeared myself to this guy, and he used to hit me with his hat all the time. Like when I wouldn't listen to him or I'd do something that wasn't right, he'd fucking hit me with his hat, and that was his way of saying, hey, dumb shit, you need to do better, right? And people today, I don't think understand that. I think people today, if you were to hit them with your hat and tell them, hey, that's wrong, they're probably going to haul off and punch you. It's a very different kind of environment that we have today. But this is part of how we learn. When I was coming up learning woodworking, my only job in this world was to basically pick up shit from the miter saw station, clean out the table saws, clean out the router tables, the drum sanders, clean out all that stuff, and stain furniture. That's what I did for, years as a little kid. There wasn't, I wasn't able to work with chisels or table saws or routers or do any of that kind of work because my stepdad at the time didn't trust me, right? He didn't want me to do that kind of work because he knew I'd probably hurt myself, and it just wasn't gonna be a good fit, So doing that stuff very young, though, gave me the interest in woodworking, right? Seeing pieces made in my home, right, that my stepdad had made. I still have pieces today that my stepdad made 40 years ago, and they look as good today as the day he built them. Roll-top desks and stuff like that. Really cool stuff, So being able to see your work every day, take your work home, make something that you learned at the job, like that shit is amazing. If you're a man being able to make something for your woman, whatever that might be, man, she's gonna be putty in your hand. You know, like women love when you can make them stuff. And so we got to make this kind of work cool again. You know, because it's awesome. It's always been good to me, man. Being a freaking woodworker, it never hurt me. Like I used to play guitar because I thought it'd get me laid. Like chicks would want to, you know, chicks always want to bang a musician, right? But that's not what did it. You know, it was always me making furniture. You know, and every woman I've ever, not say every woman, but every wife I've ever had, I'll say I've had 3, right? I'm on one wife. That's how much I work, guys. Like I'm on wife number 3. I'm a tough guy to be around. But anyway, I would make stuff for these people, and man, you want to get pussy like that. As a man, like that's the best thing you can do. It's better than having a car. It's better than having money. Like it's better than all that kind of stuff. Being able to work with hands, it's a big deal, guys. So, all right, we got Sun in here. I'm going to go into more talking about training people, helping the disadvantaged people. Like we got a lot of people today that are like in these downtrodden communities, communities that just don't have access to nothing. Nobody wants to be there except the poor. These people have got to be helped, you know, and we can tell you this is a big thing to me. It's very difficult to do, and I've been doing it now for 8 years, you know, and to be quite honest with you, I'm at the point now where I don't want to hire these people anymore because there's such a burden on our company trying to get them to act right, you know, which again, some people say, oh, you're being racist or you're being ist or some kind of thing, and it's not like that. We have to train these people to operate in a workspace, right? We got to train them to understand that, you know, it's okay to work for a company for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, you know, and if you do your job well, you come in and learn, volunteer, just be a good employee, like that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But I see so many resumes today where 3 months of this job, 6 months of that job, maybe you got a year if you're lucky, you know, and it's people just hopping from job to job to job to job to job because what they're learning isn't valuable, right? They just need a paycheck, which we all do, but they're not gaining in their experience, and they're not gaining in their notoriety, they're not gaining their reputation, whatever you want to call it, at any of these jobs. In fact, when they show you their resume, it's awful, you know, and these people, they're never going to get any help. But again, if this work comes back into America, which I think it's going to, like these people could be the people that get the training to do this work, or at least help to do this work. You know, we've been hiring illegals, bringing illegal people into this country to do all this work because we can't get enough Americans to do this work. And it's honest to God truth. A lot of people don't like it when I say that, but we have a real problem today with people being employable. You know, it's a massive problem, and it's something we've got to work on. So, Son, you're in here. Good to see you, dude. Let's see here. Lots of people view feedback as inherently rude. It's the opposite. Yeah. No, and Son, you're 100% right. That's I mean, for a long time now, is that people think that they know it all. Like I've literally had people that have worked for me, like I'll walk by them and they're just watching YouTube on their phone, or they're oh God, what do you call it when you do the voice thing on FaceTime? They're doing FaceTime on their phone, like just casually while they're at work, you know. And again, it's like it's kind of weird, you know. They don't have it up here to know that no, you're supposed to be working, providing value, and while you're on your phone or while you're watching television at work, that's no bueno. Like nobody ever told them that that's not okay, you know. But if we would get away from this college system, bring in this apprenticeship program, the apprenticeship work that kind of like they have over in Germany, it's a little bit more one-on-one where, like Son's saying, you're going to get a little bit of feedback, you know, or scrutiny of the way that you're operating or the way that you're acting. You're going to get a lot more of that, right? So it's going to be a little bit more hand-holding than I think we have now. And I think that's what we need. You know, I think we got to get more people in here showing people how to act, showing people how to do work, and kind of holding people's hands, because I think that's the only way we're going to get people to do this work again. It's just not, it's just been uncool for like 30 years, you know. Like I said, I'm 46 years old at this point, and I've always been told that I'm a loser. I've always been told that the work that I do is bullshit. I'm only doing this because I couldn't go to college. You know, if I was smart, I would have went and got my Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer degree. I mean, I've heard it all, you know, and truth is that this works great. It's been wonderful to me my entire life. And like I was telling you guys yesterday, like I've been able to buy houses and cars and you know, go on vacations and get the kids into school. Like all that stuff has been possible with a tradesman job, right? Making furniture, making cabinets, all these kind of things, you know. So it's really good work, and we've got to somehow convince people that this work is cool again. And I don't know the only way I know to tell men that like this work is cool is like this work will get you laid, guys. Like I guarantee, chicks love a guy that can make stuff. Chicks love a guy that can fix things. Chicks don't give a shit if you got money to call somebody to repair something. They love it when you do it, you know. And I mean, I think most people know this at this point. Like anyone knows about women. Women love when you can fix their problems, right? They also love when you just listen to them. Sometimes they don't want solutions, right? So, anyway, so I wrote down a bunch of things here, and the tradesman thing that we have going on in Oregon, where I'm from, my whole family, a lot of my family went through the pipe fitters union, the steam fitters union, and their apprenticeship program, and became welders. And they got really good jobs working for, like I said, companies like Intel. And believe it or not, you can do this stuff a little bit later in life. Like one of my cousins, he wanted to be a cook, right? He wanted to be a chef, and he traveled around the country. I think he was all the way up in Maine. He was doing cooking up there, and he just couldn't make enough money. Like there just wasn't enough money doing this work. Even though he was super passionate about it, just could never make the money. And so a little bit later in life, he hooked up with my dad, and my dad's like, well, I'll get you down to the hall, and we'll get you an apprenticeship program. We'll get you to be a welder. And that's what he did. And now my cousin makes gobs of money and is doing really well. And it's all because he was able to learn that skill, you know, and it could be anything. It could be work. I mean, people that work on houses make a lot of money. You know, it's not like these people are making, 30 grand a year. I mean, you work on you're a frame carpenter, you can make 70 grand a year. Roofers make great money, and I think everyone thinks that, it's only like the Hispanic culture that does roofing, and it's not. There's all kinds of people that do roofing. It's not that any group of people are better or worse at it. It's just they show up every day. They don't bitch about things. They just do the work. They do a really good job, and they get paid the same wage which is by the square as any other person would. So it's this work is good, guys, and I don't know the best way to, like I said, to convey this, but I figured I would bring this topic up because I'm super passionate about it, and I don't know how we're going to get more people to do this work, but the work is coming. I am 100% convinced. And what you guys have to understand about especially about like houses, right? So my business, my furniture business, is heavily dependent on the housing market moving, right? And I'm always telling you guys, you can operate in this good, better, or best tier. If you operate in the best tier, wealthy people are always buying houses, right? They're not, subject to the same issues that we are, the middle class people. So they're constantly buying. But I'll tell you guys, when the market is moving, when the housing market is good, when you got middle class people buying homes, you got, slightly upper middle class people buying homes, that's when everything just booms. And I think it's getting ready to happen. Like, I think we got the Fed coming in. They're going to cut rates, which may not help the mortgage rates, immediately. But if we get this tariff revenue coming in and we're able to balance the budget, which is what I'm hearing they're trying to do, if they can end up balancing this budget, couple that with some rate cuts going on, by 2026, guys, we could have a boom, another boom, I mean, almost like a COVID boom in terms of mobility, right? People move, because right now you got a lot of people that would love to get the fuck out of where they're at. They would love to get out of, Smallsville and move over to Smallsville 2.0 or go take a job opportunity someplace else. But they've got a house that's at 3%. And if they go take another opportunity, their home price is going to double if they have the same, size home, right? They got to basically take half the size home to keep the payment moderately close to what they had before. And most people aren't willing to do that, So if we can get this market moving, give you a lot of opportunities to make money, guys. A lot of opportunities to win with your hands. To win making things, to win learning how to weld, learning how to like I said, frame up houses, learning how to work on trucks. Work on anything. There's just a lot of opportunities for that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's what I talked for today. It's kind of a short one today. I blew out of the park the last couple of days. I think I did back-to-back 2 or 3 hour talks. And it was a lot. I don't know how people talk all the time, but we'll do some more talks again tomorrow. This thing I'm really passionate about, and again, I hope other people see this and they give it some thought and let me know in the future what you think we need to do for this particular issue, because not everyone's going to go to college, guys. Like this idea that everyone's just going to get out of school and then they're going to immediately go back to school. Like, I think that was one of the biggest travesties of our country in the last at least 20 years. Letting all these kids just go do whatever they wanted. Like, it wasn't good. And then these kids, they didn't create any companies. And you can say that, who do we got? We got Zuckerberg, maybe, you know, but believe it or not, Zuckerberg's my age, you know, so this guy's not young, you know, Elon's my age, you know, these guys aren't young, you know, Google, same thing, like these guys aren't, like you don't see a lot of people in this new crop of college kids turning over and making cool companies, you know, things that really help out society, really help out our world, civilization, all these kind of things. It didn't work. You know, the people that created the stuff were hard-nosed, worked 10, 12, 14 hours a day on stuff that they were really passionate about, and it changed our lives, you know, so we got to get back to that, you know, and I think the place that we start is by people got to start making things. I mean, all of your engineers, I think, again, I know there's probably not a lot of people here at this point. An engineer didn't used to be what an engineer is today. I don't know if you guys know this. An engineer today basically designs shit on a computer, you know, looks at specs, looks at codes, you know, looks at, you know, ANSI standards and all this kind of stuff, looks at, you know, CFRs and whatever when they're designing stuff. Very rarely do engineers today go out and actually put their hands on something and make it. You know, that's how an engineer used to be. Like when I was coming up in aerospace, I was what was called a design engineer, you know, which is basically an engineer with no degree, right? That meant that I could take parts, right? I could take things, I could put them in models, I could put them on drawings, I could, you know, do wiring diagrams and all this kind of stuff. It was a glorified title for an engineer with no degree, you know, but I could make anything. Like I could make whatever you needed to make. I could make it, then I could go and I could design it, right? I could make a piece of furniture and then I could go put it in CAD. I could put it in AutoCAD, I could put it in SolidWorks, I could put it in CATIA. And that was a big deal, you know, but engineers today don't do that. It's very different. They basically just go to school, get a bunch of degrees. They learn how to use programs. They learn, you know, about some of the theories, you know, that we have out there, you know, fluid dynamics and all these kind of things. And it's a bunch of knowledge that, while important in certain cases, is not really that important. Like at the end of the day, the software does most of the work. It's just being an engineer isn't what it used to be. And again, I've worked for engineers my entire life. I was part of an engineering team for almost 10 years, and it's not what it used to be. So we got to get back to people doing shit, people making things, working on things. If you want to be an engineer, you better fucking know how to make something. You know, you better have a bunch of tools at home. You better know how to at least put something together. And I don't see engineers doing that today, and I haven't seen engineers do that for a long time, and it's something that needs to change. And I'm hoping that when these jobs come back from overseas, you know, we make it a little more harder to send all this work, you know, across the ocean, that people will want to work with their hands together, want to make stuff, because we're going to need lots of people, you know, and it's we're going to have to teach all these people, and we got to make working with their hands cool again, and we got to make working with their hands the thing that people actually want to do. Dad does something, and he says, you know what, son, I want you to do this, and son says, yeah, Dad, I want to do this too, instead of what we've had the last, whatever, 30 years, where dad says, you're not fucking doing what I'm doing, you know, you're not going to be no coal miner, you're going to go to school, you're going to have it better than I had it. And that worked for some people. It didn't work for enough people, you know, which is a goddamn shame. But it is what it is, you know. So guys, shorter talk today. I hope everyone has a great day. I got a foyer table I'm working on. I'll show you guys tomorrow my 4-foot foyer table, and I've got credenzas that I'm building. I just got, man, today was awful, guys. Like I literally spent hours designing this curved vanity. It's a double curved vanity for a client, and I show it to my wife. I'm all excited, like, oh, wife, check this out. I got this done. It's amazing. And she looks at it. She goes, oh, there's no bank of drawers in this set. I'm like, what the fuck? She says, yeah, there's supposed to be a bank of drawers now. And I look at the invoice, and sure as shit, there's supposed to be basically two 36-inch curved pieces and then an 8-inch tiny bank of drawers in the center. So I had to go back in, change all my models, remake everything, and then resubmit the model to my wife, and then my wife was able to submit it to the client. And so that's how I started my day. I didn't get to work till damn near 11 o'clock. You know, I get 11 o'clock, and then there's traffic everywhere. Shit's fucked up wherever I go. I'm all bent out of shape. And so about 12 o'clock, I said, fuck this, I'm out of here. And I went to Red Robin, sat at the bar, drank a bunch of beers, ate a bunch of fries, had a burger, and then I came back to work and just drove my wife around a bunch. And now I'm here to actually do my work, because I think I've calmed down enough, and I think things are starting to go right again. Oh wait, no, the transfer case switch went out on my Touareg, so my car was stuck in low range gear. That sucked, so I had to go deal with that too. So it's just one fucking thing after another. So anyway, everyone have a fantastic